Raghunatham Vitamtasasi Sadvaitam Sadvaitam Vedanasritam Krishna Chaitanya Shri Radha Krishna Radha Saganadanta Shri Vishakhandatam Namo Vishwadaya Krishna Chaitanya Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prasthani Nirvishesha Shundravati Pashati Veshavani Namo Mahavanyaya Krishna Devadaya Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauravani He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Krishna Kanta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 We are starting the chapter 8 today, Attaining the Supreme. This chapter primarily talks about remembrance of Krishna. Text 1. Arjuna Vacha Kim Tad Brahma Kim Adhyatam Kim Tad Brahma Kim Adhyatam Kim Karma Purushottama Adibhutam Kim Proktam Adidevam Kimuchyate Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are demigods? Please explain this to me. In this chapter, Lord Krishna answers different questions from Arjuna, beginning with what is Brahman. The Lord also explains karma, fruitive activities, devotional service, and yoga principles and devotional service in its pure form. The Srimad Bhagavatam explains that the Supreme Absolute Truth is known as Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. In addition, the living entity, the individual soul, is also called as Brahman. Arjuna also inquires about Atma, which refers to soul, body, mind. According to the Vedic dictionary, Atma refers to mind, soul, body, senses also. Arjuna has addressed the Supreme Lord as Purushottam, the Supreme Person, which means that he was putting these questions not simply to a friend but to the Supreme Person, knowing him to be the Supreme Authority, able to give definitive answers. आदियज्ञः कथं गोत्र देहेऽस्मिन् मधुसूदनः प्रयाणकाले च कथां नेयोऽसि नियतात्मभिः. Who is the Lord of sacrifice, and how does he live in the body of Madhusudana? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? The Lord of sacrifice may refer either to Indra or to Vishnu. Vishnu is the chief of all the primal demigods, including Brahma and Shiva, and Indra is the chief of the administrative demigods. Both Indra and Vishnu are worshipped by yajna performances. But here Arjuna asks, who is the Lord of Yajna, the sacrifice, and how the Lord is residing within the body of the living one? Arjuna addresses the Lord as Madhusudana because Krishna once killed a demon named Madhu. Actually, these questions, which are of the nature of doubts, should not have arisen in the mind of Arjuna because Arjuna is a Krishna conscious devotee. Therefore, these doubts are like demons. Since Krishna is so expert in killing demons, Arjuna here addresses him as Madhusudana, so that Krishna might kill the demoniac doubts that arise in Arjuna's mind. Now, the word prayana kale in this verse is very significant because whatever we do in life will be tested at the time of death. Arjuna is very anxious to know of those who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness. What should be their position at the final moment, at the time of death? All the bodily functions are disrupted, and the mind is not in a proper condition. Thus, disturbed by the bodily situation, one may not be able to remember the Supreme Lord. Maharaj Kulashekar, a great devotee, prays, "My dear Lord, just now I am quite healthy, and it is better that I die immediately, so that the swan of my mind may seek entrance at the stem of your lotus feet." The metaphor is used because the swan, a bird of water, takes pleasure in digging into the lotus flowers. Its sporting proclivity is to enter the lotus flower. Maharaj Kulashekar says to the Lord, "Now my mind is undisturbed and I am quite healthy. If I die immediately thinking of your lotus feet, then I am sure my performance of your devotional service will become perfect. But if I have to wait for my natural death, then I do not know what will happen, because at that time the bodily functions will be disrupted. My throat will be choked up, and I do not know whether I shall be able to chant your name. Better let me die immediately." Arjuna questions how a person can fix his mind on Krishna's lotus feet at such a time. So Arjuna answers 5 questions in the next one, and you say, if you say both of these as one question, then 2 questions in the next 2. Now, who is the Lord of sacrifice and how does he live in the body? That's one question. And how are those who engage in how can those engaged in devotional service remember you at the time of death? That's the second question. So in text 3 and 4, Krishna is going to answer the first 6 questions actually, and then 5 onwards text 5 to 8, Krishna is answering question number 7, that is the remembrance of Krishna at death actually. And then practically the whole chapter the Lord is going to speak about remembrance of Krishna. And so that's how this chapter is going to go forward. So 9 to 13, the Lord is going to speak about remembrance of Krishna by Yoga Mishra Bhakti. 14-15, the Lord is going to speak about remembrance of Krishna by Shuddha Bhakti. 16 onwards, the Lord is going to speak about remembrance of Krishna by comparing spiritual and material worlds. The Lord is explaining about remembrance of Krishna. And then after the whole chapter, at the end, the Lord is going to explain about how remembrance of Krishna and Bhakti Yoga is easier than in Ashtanga Yoga. And that is till 23 to 28. So that means that from 5 onwards, the Lord is only speaking about remembrance of Krishna. And that is what this chapter is all about. Arjuna's questions are enlightening in many aspects. Now, one point may arise that actually Arjuna, why is he putting forward questions again and again? He's again asking about karma, he's again asking about Brahman, he's again asking about the self. The Lord explained about the self in the second chapter so profusely, again he's asking about. He's again asking fruitive activities. There are 2 chapters on karma yoga which have happened, 3rd and 5th. Again he's asking what are fruitive activities. And then again he's asking what is mental manifestation. The Lord has explained everything. We have only read Devi Shubhanamai and come forward. The Lord has explained Maya Duratya, and after that he's asking what is mental manifestation. And what are the demigods? The Lord has explained 7 chapters, we were reading all that. Yo, Yam, Yam, Tarun, Bhakta, and Kamesh, Tasya, Jnana. So after that, what are the demigods? So the point is, what is happening? And Arjuna is again and again asking the same questions. So this is important. So one explanation is, or one understanding is that Arjuna is asking so that there is no discrepancy which is remaining in the heart of any common reader. And for that sake, Arjuna is asking again and again, so the point is made very, very clear. So important points, if they are emphasized, people remember. So that's why Arjuna is asking again and again. That's one point. So that there is no confusion which remains. The second point is, confirmation not only leads to clarity, confirmation also leads to enhancement in determination. So Arjuna's attempt to ask for confirmation also leads to enhancement of determination. So he will say, okay, I have to go there, that is the goal, that is the goal, that is the goal, and says, yes, that is the goal, that is the goal, and they run, So, and again he is asking, there, shoot, So, it leads to enhancement of determination. So Arjuna is, not that Arjuna doesn't know what is karma. They have read through all karma chapters. He knows. So on one hand he is asking so that the doubts can be dispelled, there are doubts remaining. The second reason is that Arjuna is asking because that is what is giving him, that is what gives him further boost to surrender. He has gone way beyond. He is on the way of Sharanagati now. He is active devotional service, actively surrendering. But now to enhance the surrender again he is reconfirming. So that reconfirmation actually leads to enhancement of determination. That's the second reason. And the third reason is that actually that in this way Arjuna is taking shelter of Krishna. So in this way actually also again this is another kind of reciprocation between the two. It's another kind of reciprocation between the two which adds on to their relationship. That way. So which adds on to their relationship. So this question is a means of reciprocation. Taking shelter is a means of reciprocation. Like that. This theme we see in Bhagavatam also. Parikshit Maharaj just asked questions. And he asked questions, Sukadeva Maharaj becomes ecstatic and then he starts explaining. And few chapters go by, Sukadeva Maharaj becomes quiet again. ठीक है? हो गया? जाओ साथ हो जाओ. बोला? Parikshit Maharaj again says नहीं. Few more questions, है ना? Sukadeva Maharaj hearing the question becomes ecstatic. Again few chapters. After that again he says जाओ. हो गया? Then he says few more questions. And you see whole Bhagavatam flows like that. So whole Bhagavatam flows like that. So this is the means of reciprocation actually. For the devotee hearing about Krishna, he is never tired of hearing about Krishna, and Krishna is never tired of helping his devotee. So the devotee needs a trigger to ignite the reciprocation to again flow. And the Lord seeing the trigger, he reciprocates it. And that's why the Lord is not never tired of helping the devotee. Therefore, even at the end of 18th chapter, the Lord is going to explain. You read that verse, and the Lord says, "Oh Arjuna, if you have not understood, I will explain to you all again." After explaining 18th chapter, the Lord is saying, "फिर से समझाता हूँ." So that is Krishna. And Arjuna is never tired of hearing about Krishna. So even when we see Bodhayanti Parasparam. So this Bodha Paramparam. So you see, both the parties, they need a trigger to talk about Krishna. So one person asks about Krishna, and he is excited, he wants to hear. The other person, he just wants a trigger, and he is absorbed in speaking about it. So this Bodhayanti Parasparam is also same principle, because the question answer becomes a means of reciprocation. Like that. Question answer becomes a means of reciprocation. Like that. But the only point is that we should not take a holistic lesson. Question answer is all fine. That should be accompanied by active service. This Bhagavad Gita was spoken 45 minutes. That means at the beginning of the war, there was 45-minute Bhagavatam class. And after that 18 days non-stop Arjuna fought. है कि नहीं? चुपचाप सेवा किया उसके बाद. है कि नहीं? ना? So we need to learn a holistic lesson. The lesson is 45 minutes, 1 घंटा भागवत. उसके बाद दिन भर सेवा. है कि नहीं? Like that. So see, then it is holistic. Not that we are simply sitting 6 hours and Bodhayanti, and in the name of Bodhayanti no seva is happening. Like that. है कि नहीं? So holistic lesson. Because now the Lord wants to repeat it again. Arjuna is saying, नहीं, समझ में आ गया. You see at the end what the Lord Arjuna is saying. I surrender to you. My weapon is there ready. I'm shooting. Is it not? So this is the point actually. Therefore, never we should take things unholistic. Like that. The holistic lesson is that. You see, Arjuna, one day he attended Bhagavatam, 18 days his battery went down. So we should do seva like that actually. Bhagavatam class should hear already attentively. After that, full seva. Like that. That is the point actually. So we should see our bow and keep shooting, the arrows of the Sankirtan movement on the populace, Yes. So this is the point actually. But now, so this type of, therefore this type of question answers become an excuse for reciprocation of relationship actually. And that furthers the relationship, the mutual relationship between each other actually. Therefore, it's like this. So Arjuna wants that Krishna reveals the most and Krishna wants to give the best. So when this is the consciousness in both the parties, then any small trigger will lead to beautiful and a wonderful nectar to come out. So these Arjuna's 7 questions and wonderful nectar is coming out. This chapter is focused on constant remembrance of Krishna. And Prabhupada is going to speak in the purpose. Constant remembrance of Krishna means constantly chanting the holy names. And unless we don't come to that level, we are not going to enter the spiritual world. The entrance will not be given, visa will not be given. Visa is not easy to get.
And 20 constant
the material visa is not easy to get. What about spiritual world actually? So we have to really give a solid petition actually. Then only the visa will be granted. Otherwise it will not be granted. Not so easy. Like that.
We have to apply to the right agent.
He's saying we have to apply to the right agent.
Prabhupada,
Yeah, Prabhupada is the right agent. Any guru is okay. This is bona fide. Like that. It should be Prabhupada. That is the point. So we should not. Yeah, actually, there are. The GBC has established 80 gurus. Any guru is okay. The point is Prabhupada is the main. Like that. Not any guru is okay. So that is the proper agent. Yes. So this point has to be understood, right? So this chapter is going to explain that. Now, takes. So you see, when Arjuna is addressing the Lord as Madhusudana, the same kind of consciousness is being depicted. But Arjuna wants surety. That surety is giving him security, like that. So he doesn't want any single problem to come in his understanding. He wants to make it very, very clear, and therefore he is reconfirming.
Then how are doing after hearing 7th chapter? Arjuna is inquisitive about a certain activity. By hearing about karma, Arjuna got it out. Is karma more important or jnana more important? So how he got such questions after hearing 7th chapter?
Now he is giving a trigger to Krishna. Otherwise, probably Krishna would be stopping. हो गया अभी हो गया भागवत. अभी चालू हो जाओ, है ना? Divert हो, चालू हो जाओ. हो गया ना? 7 चैप्टर हो गया. भक्ति की बता दी भगवान ने और किसी. Now Arjuna is giving further trigger. So now Krishna will go on.
एंड में सर बोलते हैं सर 7th चैप्टर के एंड में कृष्णा इसका बारे में बोलता है कुछ.
Krishna किसके बारे में बोलते हैं? Krishna is saying that
7th chapter is last.
The Lord is saying that those who surrender, those who are in full consciousness of me, who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of material manifestation of the demigods, of the methods of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. So now he is saying, the Lord is saying that I am behind everything, the governing behind material manifestation, the demigod, the method of sacrifice, and such a person who knows me, he can remember me at the time of death. So Arjuna, the 7th question is on death, like that. But then he is asking further questions as well. He is building it up. So. Let us read text 3. Shri Bhagavan Vach Akshara Brahma Paramam Svabhavodhyatmam Uchyate भूतभावोद्भवकरो विसर्गा कर्म समश्नितः. The Supreme Personality of God said, the indestructible, transcendental, living entity is called Brahman. So Krishna is saying, who is Brahman? Soul. And Prabhupada is saying in the purport, who is Brahman? Soul can also be Brahman, Lord can also be Brahman. So, but now what Krishna is answering? Soul is Brahman. So who will be God then? He will be Para-Brahman. So Brahman, Para-Brahman. And his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, self. So Brahman's eternal nature is called as self. Adhyatma, self. Action pertaining to the development of material bodies is called as karma or fruitive activities. So those activities which have projection into this material plane, which will prolong our existence and enhance our trajectories and geometries into this material plane, those actions are called as karma. There is no projection on the material, then it is not karma. That means it will not enhance our existence in this material world. Our geometries are not going to be enhanced and complicated. Geometries will not become complicated. So the Lord is answering, what is Brahman? The three answers the Lord has given. What is Brahman? What is self? What is karma? Let's read the purport. Brahman is indestructible and eternally existing, and its constitution is not changed at any time. But beyond Brahman, there is Para-Brahman. So Prabhupada makes things very, very clear. Beyond Brahman, there is Para-Brahman. Brahman refers to living entity. Para-Brahman refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The constitutional position of the living entity is different from the position he takes in the material world. In the material consciousness, his nature is to try to be the Lord of matter. But in the spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness, his position is to serve the Supreme. And the living entity is in his material consciousness. He has to take on various bodies in the material world, and this is called as karma, or varied creation by the force of material consciousness. In Vedic literature, the living entity is called Jiva Atma and Brahman, but he is never called Para-Brahman. The living entity Jiva Atma takes different positions. Sometimes he merges into the dark material nature and identifies himself with matter, and sometimes he identifies with himself with superior spiritual nature. Therefore, he is called as the Supreme Lord Marginal Energy, which is Tatastha. According to his identification with material or spiritual nature, he receives a material or spiritual body. In the material nature, he may take a body from one of the 84 lakh species of life, but in spiritual nature, he has only one body. In material nature, he is manifested sometimes as man, demigod, animal, beast, bird, etc., according to his karma. To attain material heavenly planets and enjoy their facilities, he sometimes performs sacrifices, yajna, and when his merit is exhausted, he returns to this earth again in the form of a man. This process is called as karma. The Chandogya Upanishad describes the Vedic sacrificial process. On the sacrificial altar, 5 kinds of offerings are made into 5 kinds of fire. The 5 kinds of fire are conceived of as the heavenly planets, clouds, the earth, man and woman, and the 5 kinds of sacrificial offerings are faith, the enjoyer, on the moon, the rain, the grains, and the semen. In the process of sacrifice, the living entity makes specific sacrifices to attain specific heavenly planets, and consequently reaches them. When the merit of the sacrifice is exhausted, the living entity descends on the earth in the form of rain, then takes the form of grain, and the grains are eaten by man and transformed into semen, which impregnates a woman, and thus the living entity once again attains the human cycle to perform sacrifice and so repeat the same cycle. In this way, the living entity perpetually comes and goes on the material path. A Krishna conscious person, however, avoids such sacrifices. He directly takes to Krishna consciousness and thereby prepares himself to return back to God. Impersonalist commentators on the Bhagavad Gita unreasonably argue that Brahman takes the form of Jiva in the material world. And to substantiate this, they refer to chapter 15, verse 7 of the Gita. But in this world, the Lord also speaks of the living entity as an eternal fragment of myself. The fragment of God, the living entity, may fall down into this material world. But the Supreme Lord, Achyuta, never falls down. Therefore, this assumption of the Supreme Brahman assumed the form of Jiva is not acceptable. It is important to remember that in the Vedic literature, Brahman, the living entity, is distinguished from the Parabrahman, the Supreme Lord. Actually, Brahman can only be stabilized when it is under Parabrahman. That means, unless the Parabrahman is established very nicely, there is no meaning to Brahman. There is no meaning to the activities of Brahman. Because the point is that unless so the living entity always remains restless, and the living entity always remains simply creating vibrations, and it simply keeps vibrating in various patterns and random proclivities. And actually the net aggregate of all the proclivities and random patterns does no good for anybody. Unless one establishes God very nicely, the position of Parabrahman very nicely, the meaning does not remain actually. Therefore, people have come and people have gone, and civilizations have come and civilizations have gone. Where are the people who are driving and rocking the world? Where are people? People have come, they have vibrated for some time and gone. But what remains is the vibration of the Supreme Lord, or the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. That's what remains. That is why you see, just like understanding this principle very prominently, in the Vedic times, the kings used to establish temples after temples. You see, Dravidian Empire, the hallmark of Dravidian Empire is so many wonderful temples that they have established. And whole India and all over the world people come to see them. Well, may not know which king has also established it. That king is Srinangan, way back. The temple still remains. The Lord still remains. The attraction still remains. Is it not? Like you see, for example, Kishkinda Kshetra Hampi, such beautiful temples established by Maharaj Krishna Deva Raya. Now, where is Maharaj Krishna Deva Raya? When he was born, none of us know. When he ruled, none of us know. But that temple is so beautiful. Is it not? There is a beautiful Narasimha deity. There are these beautiful temples, Lord Ramachandra temple, like that. One or two temple deities are not there, but then there are deities in where Lord Ram was staying 4 months. That Lord Ramachandra, Malyavan. There the beautiful deities of the Lord are there actually. And where the Lord embraced Hanumanji, that temple the deities are there. You know? So only one or two temples the deities are not there. You know? But you see, it's so magnificent and it speaks so much volumes about the glory of the Supreme Lord. And if you go and see people from all over the world come and watch, is it not? The grandeur, the splendor. And then that grandeur and splendor as well, these rulers, they were glorifying the Lord. Now these rulers are dead and gone. Who cares? So no people don't even know their names. In our history textbooks, these names are not mentioned also. No? But the grandeur and the splendor of the Lord still remains. This is the point actually. That anyways will be dead and gone. But if we serve Krishna, that service will always remain. That is the point. Yes, you see Mathura, when they were showing in the excavations of Dwaraka, that there are temples beneath temples. They did excavation, they found temples beneath temples. That means generation after generation the rulers have only built temples. What a glory it speaks about the glory of the Lord, is it not? I mean that contribution of theirs is still there. These rulers are dead and gone. Nobody knows their names. Their ashes are also not available. But what service they did still remains. Can you imagine? That is why there is no point actually in focusing, endeavoring on the material plane. Because how much ever we achieve, there is no use. It's transient, it's flickering. Today it's there, tomorrow it will not be there. What is the use of it? Like that. Maharaj Indradumna built our Jagannath temple. And then the rulers, they have consolidated it and like that. That temple is standing the glory of their devotional service. Is it not? And it is giving faith. And it is giving light to so many thousands of people. Is it not? So this is the point, eternalizing service actually. This is called as eternalizing service actually. So that goes to show that actually when we serve Krishna, that service eternally remains. We may be dead and gone. The service eternally remains. Just like you see Mahaprabhu's pastimes. The certain devotees, they have their role, very small role. A little bit, 1 day, 1 hour, something, like that. 1 day only we hear about Dukhi, and she became Sukhi in 1 day, Other days we don't hear about Dukhi, Sukhi होने के बाद क्या हुआ? We don't hear much. It's small service. But then that is eternally recorded and eternally it is going to be read. The Dukhi did service. And she became Sukhi. Like that. Eternally recorded. Then, that is the point. Similarly, when Prabhupada went to the West to preach, many devotees came. Many Westerners got a heart to assist Srila Prabhupada. And many of them have done various levels of service, small or big actually. But whoever has done whatever amount of service for Srila Prabhupada, that is eternally recorded. Because it was the desire of the Lord Himself, and it was the prophecy of the Acharyas and that desperation of the heart of Acharyas, and Prabhupada as an instrument compassion of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda and the whole parampara actually. And Prabhupada went to the West and he was needing hands and people to assist him and take forward this mission. And those who gave their hand even for a small time eternally rewarded actually. Till the time ISKCON continues, their contributions are going to be read and glorified in their Guru Sarup for what they have done. Whether they did only for a few years, doesn't matter. But at that time they were there, standing for Prabhupada, working hard for Prabhupada. That is the point. So this living entity being described as Brahman is very symbolic, because this living entity in material consciousness goes on a transient plane, but his spiritual consciousness is reiterated only when he comes and takes shelter of the Parabrahman, which is the constitution of Krishna. आएंगे sacrifice के पर आएंगे. We'll discuss also. Yeah, we'll discuss also. So that is Brahman actually. So that is the point actually. So this Brahman is symbolic actually. So the living entity Tatastha, and if he keeps oscillating on the material plane, whatever it does is useless because it has no impact. It is not going to last any place. Like that. But whatever he has done is not going to last actually. But the point is that if he serves Krishna, that service is going to last forever. That's the point. So therefore Brahman means what? That one who comes out of Brahm and does seva with great man, he is called as Brahman, like that. Like that is Brahman actually. To come out of that Brahm or the illusion of bodily consciousness or materialistic sense gratification or man se seva, like that. So when one serves the Lord of great man and in this way comes out of Brahm, it's called as Brahman. One should serve Parabrahman. You are giving some extension. Oh, Parabrahman.
It's beyond Brahm. It's called
So after coming to the society of Krishna consciousness, we should do service to the Parabrahman and we should not simply do Brahman, like that. So many times actually, our devotees in ISKCON, they feel that Tatastha means now you have become ISKCON devotee, you have got the right to do Brahman. So we should not do Brahman, but we should apply man like that and serve the Lord like that. That is the point which is explained here. Otherwise, those transient vibrations which we create have no impact. Even if they are positive, they will not last. But mostly they enhance the misery quotient of the living entity. So इसलिए the service to Parabrahman should be done with great man actually, and therefore with whole heart we should do whatever seva to the Lord comes in our way, like that. Thus we are reinstating our positive consciousness. That is the point actually. Because the Lord is eternal, and therefore if we serve the Lord, our service becomes eternal, our name becomes eternal. and the Lord always recognizes. So, material consciousness forces activities which are binding to the living world. So therefore, the struggle for a sadhaka is that it's just like this, that material consciousness is just like this, that one has a pot of water and what Maya Shakti does is puts a hole in it. And when the hole comes in there, then it is dripping. The water is dripping off, the water is dripping off, dripping off, dripping off, like that. The water is going off actually. So now what happens is that, therefore, actually, the water is dripping off. Now, so this is what happens actually. The day to day, the Maya Shakti does some or the other hole which saps away our consciousness. It may be some anxiety, and our consciousness is completely lost in it. It may be some dream and our consciousness is lost in it. It may be some imagination and about some misunderstanding and our consciousness is lost in it. Or it may be laziness and our consciousness is lost in it. Or it may be sleep and our consciousness is lost in it. The point is our consciousness gets lost and sapped away in so many ways. And therefore the struggle for a sadhaka is that this dripping water to collect and keep it offering it to Krishna, keep offering it to Krishna. The water is dripping, keep offering it to Krishna. Like that. The water which is inside the pot is not yet dripped, better start offering in a faster pace. This is the struggle for a sadhaka. This is the struggle for a sadhaka, like that. So now if the sadhaka feels okay, like say for example, okay, the question may come, okay, should I learn the skill or not? Okay, anyways, so suppose you have learned the skill or you are learning the skill, better offer it to Krishna immediately. If the learning was correct or not, you offer it to Krishna. Offer it to Krishna. Like that. That's the point actually. Otherwise, it's going to sap away the consciousness and even energy. Actually. Somebody may say, okay, I am, like somebody learned Sanskrit, like that. Now he's wondering whether I learned it is proper or not. Whether it is proper or not, better start offering to Krishna. Then will be said like that. That's the point. If somebody says, okay, I have learned very good English, now what should I do? You better start serving Krishna by writing, by making literary contributions. So, like that. Or somebody says, okay, I am earning money, whether it is good or not, but whatever it is, now you're earning money, you better start offering it to Krishna from today. That's how we can start the dripping water. That the water is dripping off, like that. The better keeping it on hold or keeping it hanging, we offer it to Krishna, like that, in that way. So this is the point actually. This is the point. So therefore, whenever we become conscious, better connect to Krishna. That is the point. So now during the day, the consciousness comes, okay, am I doing some service today or not? Is my consciousness spiritual or not? The fact is that you have become conscious, now you start doing it immediately. Now you do. Now you remember Krishna. Offer some service to Krishna. Do something, on a tangible purpose. So the present continuum is very important actually. Otherwise this karma is continuous actually. Our karmic entanglements are continuous. Like that. And we have to break this. And we can only break this when we offer things to Krishna. It's like if we just live and let time to pass, misunderstandings will start, misunderstandings will start aggregating and solidifying. But now when you do some service, Vaishnav Seva, it cuts it. Like say ice is getting formed and you stir it, it will not form, it will break off. But once it is solidified strongly, you cannot break it. adopt a lot of foods. Same thing. So the material consciousness is solidifying the material consciousness, the material desires. It's solidifying. But then as soon as we get conscious, struggle is we give a hit, we give a motion, like that, so that whatever little solidification happens, it breaks down. And then again, we regularly stir it. The seva is that stirring, stirring. So that way, we service the Vaishnavas, service in the Sankirtan, service to the deities, we service actually. And that actually stirs. And therefore that karma solidification starts getting cut. Otherwise it becomes what is that called as vidya granthi. That material attachment becomes vidya granthi, which cannot be cut, which cannot be opened. It has to be cut, and it is very painful. And it is cut and it bleeds, and it's very painful. Actually, that tayor vidya granthi, that verse starts with the enmaituna, the vihame, the shukam, and do yanena, then it comes. This is another verse. So it becomes this hridaya granthi basically, that point. It becomes a very hard knot actually. It becomes a hridaya granthi actually. So that means solidification actually. Therefore, material desires are small, we work on them, it can shake up actually, we can connect it to Krishna, we can dovetail it, it's possible. And we can connect it to Krishna, we can give it up also, not that all material desires are to be pursued, but it's possible. But it gets riveted, solidified, very dangerous. Because then it becomes very difficult to move. Then one is caught, badly caught, like that. So this understanding is there that karma is always continuously solidifying, and if we do some activity on the spiritual plane, then it is cut. Otherwise, that karma cuts off our connection and connectivity with Krishna. That is the point. So sacrifice. Now sacrifice is yajna. We know of putting some ahuti in fire, that is also called a sacrifice. Holy name is also called a sacrifice. The sacrifice is a principle also, like that. So the 5 kinds of fire. So what is this fire? It is a heavenly sacrifice. Just like people do yajna, they go to the heaven. That's one kind of sacrifice. They get promoted to the heaven. Karma kanda, jnana kanda, vishaya kanda. Another one is clouds. What is this clouds? That you do yajna, Krishna says you do yajna, that parjanya yajna samudbhava, sambhava. So how the parjanya comes? Parjanya comes by yajna samudbhava, like that. And yes, so that verse we have read. So that is the second kind of sacrifice which is being solved. When you do yajna, that yajna becomes goes to that anna bhavanti bhutani. So that cloud comes from there. That how does anna comes? It comes from rain. That grain comes from rain. Rain comes from yajna.
Living entities fall as a result.
They are coming to that. So the living entities are stored in. Actually, living entities are sent to heaven. So those fellows have gone to heaven. So now the Prabhupada explains here that they complete their tenure in heaven. Their good karma is exhausted, and they have to come down. So the route, the end route through which the carriers by which they come down is the rain. In the rain, the living entities come down. The spirit soul is locked up in the rain. And this rain feeds the grain, so the living entity gets locked up in grains. So what rice you are eating, that has thousands and thousands of living entities. And when you are eating that, it goes into your body. And in this way, the man's body, grains go into female's body also, but there is no use. Because those souls, they have to come out and again, so like that. But that grains In the man's body, they actually from grains actually the processing and digestive processes of the grain actually makes semen, blood, the seventh dhatu is semen. Like that, from blood comes semen. 40 drops of blood make 1 drop of semen. So that semen is the seventh dhatu, and that seventh dhatu actually, that is the process by which the living entities are transferred into the semen actually, and that is how the spirit soul comes into semen. So when the man he goes and deposits the semen to a woman, he gives it to her, so that becomes the living entity. So that soul in the semen actually, he takes on the body which is formed in the woman's the woman's yes, so this is the process I explained. So the living entity are trapped inside the rain particles, and that's how they come. This is the mechanism actually.
It is done by higher supervision. All this is done under higher supervision.
It's trapped. It's like jail. You cannot escape it. The soul is inside the rain. You cannot take it out.
And lower planets
सबका ऐसे ही होता है. सब rain है ना. Rain, grain, born again है ना.
लोअर प्लेनेट से कैसा
सभी born again भी नहीं होता लोगों सब.
Rain, grain, born again, energy drain है ना. Back again.
कैसे लोअर प्लेनेट में कैसे इवोल्व होता है?
हेवनली प्लेनेट से थोड़ी यहाँ पे
Unless one serves. So what's the point? So therefore, you see now. Now you see, the point is that everything in this cycle is called as sacrifice. So that Parjanya and Yajna is sacrifice. But then the next point is also sacrifice. It is said, okay, the man. So the man eats grains. So then it is said, okay, grain is the Yajna Ahuti. And the man is Yajna Sthali. That's why it's saying 5 kinds of sacrifice. And then it says woman. So woman is Yajna Sthali. And the semen is the Ahuti. If you do things in spiritual consciousness, this is what it is. When you take prasad, and grain is Yajna Ahuti. And the mouth is Yajna Sthali. Therefore they say Brahmana's mouth is mouth of Vishnu. They say like that. Why? Because Brahman is pure consciousness. So he doesn't think that he is eating. He thinks that Krishna remembers Krishna. So it becomes Yajna Sthali. Like that. So this is the point. Similarly, woman's womb, Yajna Sthali. And in that the spirit soul gets established, installed, like that. So he gets installed, activated, like that. So that semen becomes Ahuti. Obviously this is true, things are done in proper consciousness. Kamosmi Vardasana. Dharma Avaruddha Buddhi. It should not be against the religious person. That Kamosmi, not any Kamosmi. This is the explanation of the 5 sacrifices. Now who wanted to ask question about sacrifice? Okay?
कितना डिटेल इसका
So this is the 5 things. Similarly, the earth and the enjoyer and the moon actually. So because the moon gives the taste. You serve Krishna is pleased, the moon it gives a taste. Like that. It is explained the moon is the mind of the Lord. That
eyes.
No, the moon got the mind of the Lord. Eyes bhi hai, sun and moon is right. That's another revelation. Yeah, moon is related to the mind actually. It affects the mind. Therefore, some lunatic people on the full moon day they become aggravated. Like that. Anyways, in the process of sacrifice, the living entity makes these specific sacrifices actually. Okay, so then we'll go to text 4. Adibhutam Sharo Bhavaha
Adibhutam Sharo Bhavaha
Purushascha Adidaivatam Adiyajno Hamevatra Dehe Deha Britambara. Everything is sacrifice in that sense. Just like, you see, Arjuna, he was shooting arrows. It is said that Arjuna was performing yajna. So his Gandiva was a spoon of ahuti. And what was the ahuti?
Arrow.
Arrow नहीं, ahuti क्या था? Arrow तो spoon ही है. Ahuti क्या था?
Body.
What is the offering which was offered in the fire? Consciousness नहीं.
Body.
Fire जो
Fire.
Body वो जो जिनको मार रहे थे असुरा डिमोन को. डिमोन को जो मार रहे थे वो सब आ गए.
The Kauravas was ahuti. So he's taking the spoon, he is the ahuti and offering it to Krishna. Hare Krishna. Like that. Huh? And what is the yajna thali? Kurukshetre, Kurukshetre. That was the yajna thali. So this is the point actually. That way. So in the same consciousness, Srila Rupa Goswami says, Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate. You take your spoon of consciousness, atkana nahi bas, like that, and you take it in continuous motion and take it out in continuous motion. Whatever comes in your spoon, give it to Krishna, like that. क्या होता है? This principle is misapplied. तो क्या होता है? People now devotees take the spoon and take it like a big hero. लेकिन जैसे ही आहुतियाँ पहुँचा वहीं अटका देता है. उसके बाद आगे जाने की जगह मोशन बैक ट्रैक हो जाता है. नहीं दूंगा. इतना ज़्यादा है नहीं दूंगा. Many times people go and they say मेरे बिजनेस पे चला दो मैं आपको दूंगा लेकिन फिर जब बिजनेस चल के इतना दिखता है फिर लगता है नहीं इतना कैसे दूंगा. नहीं. It is not. So that is the point. So therefore the principle of yuktam vairagyam uchyate is that in a supersonic speed you take your spoon, take out a scoop from whichever area of mortal energy, don't look what has come inside, everything give it to Krishna. Take the scoop again, everything give it to Krishna. In that way one will be always liberated. Saguna samatitre brahma bhuyaya kalvi. Like देखना नहीं क्या आया अंदर, ठीक नहीं. Because that may hook and contaminate. So this is the same principle of sacrifice which Srila Rupa Goswami says. So now 3, the text 4. O best of the embodied beings, the physical nature which is constantly changing is called as Adibhuta, the material manifestation. The universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods, like the sun and the moon, is called as Adidaiva. Virat Roop is called as Adidaiva. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as a super soul in the heart of every embodied being, is called Adi Yajna, the Lord of the sacrifice. The physical nature is constantly changing. Material bodies generally pass through 6 stages because they are born, they grow, they make some duration, they produce some more products, and they dwindle and they vanish. The physical nature is called as Adibhuta. It is created at a certain point and will be annihilated at a certain point. The conception of the universal form of the Supreme Lord, which includes all the demigods and the different planets, is called Adi Daivata. The conception of the Supreme Lord as and present in the body along with the individual soul is the super soul. Plenary representation of Krishna, and he is called as Paramatma or Adi Yagya, is situated in the heart. The word Eva is particularly important because in the context of this verse, because by this word the Lord stresses that the Paramatma is not different from him. The super soul, the supreme personality of Godhead, seated beside the individual soul, is a witness of the individual soul's activities and is the source of the soul's various types of consciousness. The super soul gives individual soul an opportunity to act freely and witness his activities. The functions of all these different manifestations of the Supreme Lord automatically become clarified for the pure Krishna conscious devotee. Engaged in transcendental service to the Lord. The gigantic universal form of the Lord is called as Adi Daivata, is contemplated by the neophyte who cannot approach the Supreme Lord in his manifestation as Super Soul. The neophyte is advised to contemplate on the Virat Purusha, the universal form, whose legs are considered as lower planets, whose eyes are considered as sun and moon, head is considered the upper planetary systems. So very interesting actually. Now, because here the point is that the physical nature is Adi Bhuta, which is temporary. And the Supreme Lord is Adi Daivata. So the Virat Rupa is Adi Daivata. You see, this is another reason of question answers. We may say, Arey, the Lord has explained this, already knows, why is he asking? So this is another reason. Because now he is asking the definition, the Lord is not giving him the basic definition. The Lord is giving him in-depth definition. What is Adi Daivat? Virat Rupa. But this was not the definition before. I got it. An introduction here. The Lord is giving introduction here, 11th chapter edition. So, no, the Lord is not shown Virat Rupa, but the Lord has spoken about it already. In 7th chapter he has spoken. Prithvi, Renu, beginning. And Rasoham Apsukondeya, Prabhasmi, Jajisureya. So, what is that? So, anything you see in the world, you can see my splendor. My spark of splendor reflecting everywhere. So, you can remember me. What is that? Adideva. So now the Lord is very directly telling that I am all the demigod, different planets, everything. I am that. And then the Lord is establishing that He is the Lord. So now, Prabhupada explained that the neophyte devotee is recommended to think of Lord in the impersonal, because he cannot relate with Krishna. So therefore this Adi Daivat is an important contemplation. Because one cannot think of Krishna, he is given this impersonal, he is given this Virat Rupa, this thing, contemplation, like that. But they cannot think of Krishna, so easily like that. It's like new people, if you give them mala, it's difficult for them. If you take them on a tour to a spiritual place, it may be easier for them. Because they cannot think of Krishna, but they can think through majesty, Virat Rupa. Beginning. Therefore temples are so majestic. तो ऐसे ही कृष्ण बहुत बड़े हैं, समझ में नहीं आता है, दिख तो रहे नहीं. But when they are able to see the chakra from anywhere, then they understand. Oh, Jagannath. So, like that, the consciousness is difficult. But when the Lord, so that's why the Lord is recommending Adi Daivat. Take it up. That is the way one's consciousness can be riveted to Krishna. That's the point. So therefore this Virat Rupa is very important. Devotees guide also. Should not think this is some useless Virat Rupa directly Krishna conscious. No, we are not directly Krishna conscious. We get directly Maya conscious actually. Like that, every single day here and there. So therefore, reminding ourselves of Krishna's supremacy, majesty, that's very healthy meditation. That's very healthy meditation. Adi Daivat. If we go to Puri, we are sitting in front of ocean, we are humbled, we start chanting. It's okay, Krishna is so unlimited. Adi Daivat, very nice. Like that. That's very nice. Like you said, devotees, they like to go and chant on the ocean beach. Like यहाँ पे chanting का mood नहीं आता. So fine, go to the ocean beach as long as you chant. So see, Adi Daivat actually. So Adi Daivat, remembering Krishna. Virat Rupa Bhagavan. Say the super soul in the heart of every living being is called as Adi Yajna. Prabhupada explains actually, and therefore because the super soul is there in the heart of every living being actually, we should very sincerely serve every living being. How? By giving them Krishna consciousness. By giving them Krishna consciousness. We serve them. Actually we are paying respects and obeisances to the Lord in their hearts. It's like that. So that's Adiyantya actually. The Lord is there as Adiyantya. And He is there in everyone's heart. And when we give people Krishna consciousness like that, and actually we are respecting and glorifying that Lord in everybody's heart. So that's what they are saying. That the super soul is there in the heart of every living being. Therefore, we should always act in such a way that every living being is encouraged to take at least few steps towards Krishna. That's so fine, we'll stop here, we'll continue again. Next class, from text 5 onwards, which talks about how to remember Krishna. Yes, we'll start text 5 next week. Antakadesha Mandiva is the word to start. So just one announcement I wanted to so Rajanpur told me that in Albert Road Youth Forum actually they wanted to strategize and make rules and systems and all that, and they wanted branding for the name Yoga and Voice. So he asked me, for your teaching endeavors and all that, you give another name. So they want to brand this name with the rules, policy, systems and all that. So we gave a name to Rajanpur, so he liked it. So he's getting the name. So he will sign up from there. So we gave the name Seva to our youth preaching endeavors. So we are no more voice, we are no more yoga, no. So there's no yoga, there's no voice, there's only Seva. And I like that, yeah? There's only Seva. So our name is Seva now, like that. And Seva stands for School for Enlightenment, Values, and all-round excellence. Seva. The school for enlightenment, values, and all-round excellence. So now we are no more voice. We don't have any voice. No yoga now. Only Seva. So like that. So that is Seva. And the place. So this is the group name, and the place we will call as Seva Kunj. So say the place is called as Seva Kunj, and the group is called as Seva. Like that. That is the name we find. So like that. And yes. So Rameshwaram is called as now Rameshwaram Seva Kunj, and Alipur will be called as Janmasthan Seva Kunj. Like that. So this place is Janmasthan Seva Kunj, and that is Rameshwaram Seva Kunj. There are two right now manifested, and let us see how it goes. If we continue doing service nicely, then the Kunjas will. Just an announcement. FYI. Because there is a difference of because they want to brand the name with the rules, policy, systems they make. So they follow different set of ideologies. They want to have strict policy systems and all that. That is given the name yoga and voice. Yoga voice means strictness, that systems, that regulation, MNC, like that. And Seva Kunj means do Seva. Like Seva Kunj, we follow different set of ideologies. Like they have so many principles that okay, voice executive committee should be there, OC should be there, D should be there, the report should be there, accounting will happen, accounting monitoring will happen, inspection team will come, kitchen inspection team will come, this will come, that will come. So for us, we don't follow any such thing like that. They have systems, okay, PA should be there, PL should be there. Our thing is not one man. They say the management meeting should be there, 20 hours of management, 20 hours of management. You say what, better do some action, जाके cooking करो, बाद में